You're watching the Eeez N Beez Pro Wrestling Podcast, the eggs and bacon of the professional wrestling and sports podcast world. You're watching because you care about sports and professional wrestling. This is where you get the inside scoop, the first meal of the day, the most important meal of the day, most important information of your life when you get to learn about the professional lives of all your favorite talent, such as myself, Jumbo Zamore. You've seen it here first. Catch Eeez N Beez every Friday. Don't miss an episode because you're watching history in the making.
Good morning, all you wrestling and sports fans. This is the Eeez N Beez, the Bacon and Eggs of Pro Wrestling Sports Podcast. And I'm your host, Eeez N Beez. Welcome back. Happy Friday. Woo, here we go. Great to have you back on this fabulous Friday. We've got a full plate of breakfast items to serve up. I got playoff football, short track racing, college basketball, everybody's favorite, all 5 brands of wrestling. And we're going to dive deep into the meat segment this week with a special UFC 257 preview. That's right, McGregor, he's back. You're listening to the Eeez N Beez Podcast. All right, welcome back. Like I said, narrowing it down here in January. One more Friday left with me, Eddie B, here in January. But before we jump right into February, some cool things coming up in February. Stay tuned. We'll talk about that later on today. But let's jump on the sunny side up right into what happened last week in the NFL. Woo, what a set of weekend playoff games did we witness last weekend. I went 2 for 2. Unfortunately, that's all right. My picks weren't too bad. I was kind of shocked, just like most of you out there in the NFL world. As the first game, we had the Bills getting the win over the Ravens, 17-3. You know, I had the Ravens as my pick. I was kind of shocked. I thought they were playing the hottest football at this time. But what happened in the game was, you know, set the tone right off the bat with a pick 6 from Jackson. And the Bills never looked back. Kind of stalled out at the end and the second half, I will say. And the Ravens had plenty of opportunities, missed a couple field goals. Hey, better luck next year, but the Bills moving on to the AFC Championship game. After that, on the same side, AFC, we had the Kansas City Chiefs getting a 22-17 win over the Cleveland Browns. You know, this matchup was what we expected. Back and forth. These teams know each other very, very well, but the big story of the game was what happened with Mahomes. Mahomes going out with the concussion. Insert 1999 to whatever year you want to say, Chad Henne. That's right, I didn't stutter. Chad Henne coming in to play backup ball for the Chiefs, and he held it together, folks. He got through what should have been a turnaround for the Browns. They should have took advantage, but Chad Henne, being the vet, comes in, holds his own, you know, puts the nachos and the hot dogs down on the sideline, puts the helmet on, and comes out and finishes this game off for the Chiefs. And now they will be hosting the Buffalo Bills in the AFC Championship game coming up this weekend. We'll talk about who I want to win coming up a little bit later in the scrambled eggs section. After that, let's move to the NFC side. It was the Packers 32 getting the win over the Rams 18. You know, I said it last week. I had the Packers. I picked the Packers. I'm pretty sure that they are the best team out there, but coming into this weekend, we'll see what happens. It should be a good matchup. This was a good game. The Rams also, as well, had their chances to put, this game a little bit closer or even maybe take the lead. They just couldn't capitalize. The Packers, the better team. You can't go wrong with Aaron Rodgers to Adams, Aaron Rodgers to Jones. I mean, they're just unstoppable on the offensive side. Let me know what you think out there in the Eeez N Beez land. But they get the win, like I said, 32-18. After that, the other last game on the NFC side, it was Tampa Bay getting the win over the New Orleans Saints, 30-20. It was the battle of the 40-something QBs, and it did not disappoint for one. That's right, for Tom Brady. He really shined, shows, he's still got it looks like, folks, and he's taking a team that was at below average last year to now the NFC Championship game on his back. After the game, of course, everybody's seen it all week long on social media. The big talk was Tom Brady coming out after the game, talking with Drew Brees, throwing the football to Drew Brees' son. That's great. That's big-hearted. I've said a lot of bad things about Tom Brady when he was a Patriot, and I'll stick to those. But he does have a good heart, and it was cool to see that. I hope that's not the last time we see them two to face off, but we'll have to wait and see what happens. Side note, while I'm thinking about that, we did see this week Phillip Rivers hanging it up in Indianapolis now, looking for a quarterback. And, if the Saints shut it down, they're going to be looking for one too going into next season. So very, very interesting. We'll talk about that in the future, later on when we talk more draft talk and stuff in the future. But that sets up the NFC, folks. Tampa Bay going to Lambeau Field to play Aaron Rodgers and the Green Bay Packers. We'll see what happens. My picks will come up a little bit later in the Scrambled Egg segment. All right, guys, keeping things moving here on the sunny side. Let's talk a little hoops. That's right, NCAA moving right along. We're getting into the thick of things. And as you know, here on the Eeez N Beez, we're going to give you the top 10 going into this week's AP poll. Starting at number 10, Wisconsin at 11-3. Number 9, Kansas at 10-4. Number 8, Houston at 11-1. Number 7, Michigan. They finally lost. They're now at 12-1. Number 6, Tennessee, 10-2. Number 5, Texas, 11-2. Number 4, Iowa, 12-2. Number 3, 9-1 Villanova. Number 2, 13-0 Baylor. And holding it down, once again, number 1, 14-0 Gonzaga. Hey, I want to make a note, guys. They announced this week March Madness dates, where it's going to be and what's happening. That's right, folks. Going down in my home state. It's going down in Indianapolis. The first round, obviously the Selection Sunday will start on March 14th. That'll be when we know who's going to be in and who's not. After that, first rounds will be on March 18th. That's going to be the play-in games. After that, 19th and 20th, 21st and 22nd. Then we'll move into the 27th, 28th, 29th, and 30th. And as you all know, the final games will be played on April 3rd and 4th. Can't wait to see how this thing shakes out. I'm glad we're going to have the tournament back this year. I missed it last year. There was a lot of teams that was on a roll before this all pandemic shook out and things came to a screeching halt. So I'm just glad that we have sports, and I can't wait to see what happens coming up in March. But we'll keep you updated here on the Eeez N Beez going forward on that top 10, see what things shake out, see if Gonzaga can be beaten, or maybe even Baylor. 2 teams undefeated so far. Keeping things rolling, folks. It's time for short track racing. That's right. We got a lot of good short track racing going on this weekend. As you may note, last week I spoke about it. Showtime Speedway, Robert Yoho, owner, operator, promoter, whatever you want to call him. He's a great guy, great follow. Follow him on social media if you can find him out there. But I just want to pass along what's going on at his track this weekend. That's right. Here's what's going on this weekend. Pinellas Park, Florida, Showtime Speedway. It is Florida Fest 2021. Super late model race. $15,000 to win. That's right. I did not stutter. $15,000 to win. Has changed. It used to be 10. But some things happened going into this week with CRA. We won't hit on that. No big deal. Things happen, whatever. But my man, Yoho took it upon himself to keep this race alive. He had legends like Rich Bickle already showed up when things were getting canceled right as this man's pulling in his pits. You know, he's got all these great plans lined out, things set up, and, you know, we know things happen. But Yoho taking it upon himself to have this race going forward. He's also bringing in some winged sprint cars. Make sure you check that out this Saturday, Showtime Speedway. Don't miss it. Hey, last race winner, Michael Goddard, gonna go for another one. Hey, if he gets 2 more, that's an additional $10,000 Yoho's paying him. Also, Yoho made it a point on Facebook Live just a few days ago, calling his sponsors and getting more money added to the purse to show all the great support that he's got for his track. Man, I wish every short track was doing exactly what he's doing right now. You know, he's keeping the dream alive for all us race fans out there. And he's also, you know, making it worth our while. You know, $15,000 for a 150-lap race. I know if I had a super late model and I lived around the area or could get there, I'd be there. That's for sure. So go check that out. It's going to be on Speed 51 TV this Saturday, Pinellas Park, Florida, Showtime Speedway. Big Florida Fest race. Don't miss it. They got a lot of cool things coming up. We'll talk a lot more about him going into February as he also hosts the World Finals Figure 8 race down there. We'll talk a lot about that next month. That's what I got for there for the short track side. On the NASCAR side, just a quick update. Tuesday, February 9th, it's going to be the Busch Clash race. Changing things up this year, though, folks. Not in the oval. It's going to be in the Daytona Road Course. So that should be interesting. If you're not familiar with that, go check it out. It's all the past winners, champions, such, in a little shootout race for some basically monies, no points on the line, and they pretty much tear up everything every year. So this should be interesting, being that it's on a road course, you know, here in 2021. Also, some other dates to keep noted here for NASCAR. February 11th will be the duels. These are the qualifying races that set up where you start on the Daytona 500 race, which will be on February 14th, Valentine's Day. Don't miss that. Hey, pay attention on here. I will note this, we're going to have some pulls, some giveaways, and some great things tied in to the Daytona 500 going next month, just in a couple weeks, so make sure you pay attention. Last thing I got here before we jump into the wrestling, that's right, last weekend, folks, awesome race, Tulsa, Oklahoma, the Chili Bowl Nationals, Kyle Larson leading from green flag to checker, my man showing him how it was done. It was a cool race. Christopher Bell went end over end, took a little ride. There was a couple little accidents, but definitely all in all, 24 of the fastest little midgets in a little bull ring. Man, it was live on Mad TV. If you missed it, it was great. Go back and try to find it. It's worth the watch. But like I said, Kyle Larson leading beginning to end and winning 2021's Chili Bowl Nationals. Hey, you're listening to the Eeez N Beez Podcast. Go check us out. Like, share, subscribe. Pass the gravy, spread the butter, tell a friend, tell a family member. Hey, tell somebody. All right, keeping things moving here on the sunny side. Before we jump into wrestling, let me give you a little shout here. Things that are going on in the wrestling world, there's a lot of beef. I'm going to talk a lot more about that coming up in the scrambled egg segment, as we're going to scramble a lot of eggs today, talking all kinds of beef, all kinds of stories that are out there, and maybe some are true, maybe some aren't. So stay tuned. Keeping it rolling here on the sunny side up. We're going to jump into last Friday's SmackDown. Hey, it was a good one. Another great performance. Like I said last week, SmackDown was my favorite brand show of the week, and I think I'm going to stick with that again this week as Impact stepped their level up. AEW kind of stayed flat, in my opinion. NXT stepped up a little bit, and Raw coming in last. But here's what happened on SmackDown. Shinsuke Nakamura getting the win over Jey Uso at the very beginning. Cesaro was the distraction at ringside, and we know what's going on with the Uso and Roman Reigns story. You know, they're trying to take over everything, but it seems to me Uso just keeps losing. Anyhow, after that, Natty got a big win over Liv Morgan, and the whole reason being Billie Kay trying to be a new member of the Riot Squad. Well, she stuck her butt in where it didn't belong, and it cost Liv losing there to Natty. After that, Baron Corbin getting a huge win over Rey Mysterio. Dominic once again at ringside, kind of doing a little bit of distracting himself. His son got mad, and it cost him the match. Kind of a constant theme we're seeing here is a lot of ringside distraction, if you know what I mean. After that, the debut of Ding Dong, it's Bayley. Yeah, my daughter really pumped for this. Me, on the other hand, I feel like it's a kind of a ripoff of what we've been seeing on AEW Dark, and that's Britt Baker's The Waiting Room. Who's to say who did it first or who's doing it best? But to me, it just seems like too many similarities between the two, and I think a lot out there, if you've seen it, you could probably agree with me. But all in all, it was a segment basically just setting up the feud between Bianca Belair and Bayley herself. So whatever, we'll see what happens this Friday or tonight here on SmackDown if they bring back the skit and move it forward. After that, we had Cesaro getting a huge win over Daniel Bryan, and I'm just gonna say this probably was the match of the night. These guys are so technical; they're the best wrestlers. Hands down as far as wrestling on the show. Cesaro has been around for a long time. They need to give this guy a better push. He's hands down one of the better talents here on SmackDown, if you ask me. But, if you didn't see this match, go check it out. It's a good, classic Cesaro-Daniel Bryan match that, does not disappoint. After that, we had Apollo Crews getting a huge win over Sami Zayn. We know Sami Zayn's got the movie cameras following him as he thinks everything's a conspiracy against him now. But Big E was sitting ringside on a couch enjoying the matchup, and it led to a little confrontation afterwards between Apollo and Big E. We know that feud is just beginning, I do believe. After that, it was the last thing of the night, and it was the biggest thing of the night. It was the Universal Championship contract signing, and I want to note, prior, going on earlier in the evening, Paul Heyman tried to take care of this himself, and it seemed to be like it disturbed. Roman Reigns seemed to be a little bit disturbed, of Paul Heyman taking care of this contract signing. Ended up being, it didn't work out to their favor, because Adam Pearce pulled a swerve on him, and as the show's going off the air, he changed the paperwork wording and made it say that if there was an injury, the performer didn't have to perform. Well, he faked an injury, and lo and behold, here comes old Kevin Owens. That's right. So now we're going to have another rematch of Kevin Owens, Roman Reigns, last man standing, I think it is, at Royal Rumble coming up just here very shortly. So that's going to be very interesting to see what happens. Like I said, this is probably the show of the week, folks. It's been holding its candle pretty good for the last couple. After that, we're going to jump right into Monday Night Raw. That's right, Monday Night Raw. And I'm not going to get you too excited because it was not the best show of the week. It was just flat. I'm not sure what's going on. I will say this. Randy Orton is the only thing they got going for him. Throw in Alexa Bliss, throw in the Fiend storyline with that, them three or whatever. It's the only thing they've got going, the only thing that's keeping my attention. But yet, I'm going to report this stuff for you guys out there in case you just missed it. They started the show off with Randy Orton now having a burn mask. And I think shots are fired. We'll see what happens between this going forward, but I don't know how long he's going to keep that mask on. And, it looked very interesting. It looked like he's got some very bad scarring. I'm not sure. We'll see. They started the night out with Charlotte Flair getting a huge win over Peyton Royce, putting on the figure eight. I love that submission. Best submission in the women's division. We had Face getting a win over Xavier Woods. I'm just not even going to say anything else. Sorry for Xavier Woods and the New Day that they've got to deal with what they're dealing with. Shayna Baszler got a big win over Mandy Rose. We know that storyline. Same song, same story. It's been going on for a long time. As you see the path I'm getting into here, and I'm trying to stay positive, but the Raw stuff is just repetitive. Shake it up a little bit, folks. You're doing a good job on SmackDown, but Raw is just not holding its candle. After that, we had AJ Styles and Ricochet, probably one of my favorite matches of the night. AJ Styles pulling a little bit more heelish stuff out of his back pocket. Some great moves if you haven't seen the Styles Clash that he pulls on Ricochet. Please go back and check that out. The best one I've seen in a long time. We had the Dirt Sheet with Miz and Morrison, and this is another spoof. They had Gilbert out there and their formation of Drew McIntyre, whatever it may be, and I'm sick of seeing it. I think they are burying John Morrison. Miz, I'm not sure what they see in him. He's a great dude and all, but his time is up, in my opinion. Or they just need to move him around. Do something different. This is not working. This is terrible. Terrible. Anyhow, after that, we had the Hurt Business getting a huge win over Lucha Party and Matt Riddle. Matt Riddle, of course, at the beginning of the night had a little run-in with the Hurt Business. We know him and Lashley got some history. I'll talk a little bit about Matt Riddle a little bit later in the Scrambled Egg segment. Keeping things rolling, we had Jeff Hardy getting a DQ win over Jackson Riker. I wrote it right here in big letters on my notes. Shake my head. I'm sick of this storyline as well. If it's not Jeff Hardy and Jackson Riker, it's Jeff Hardy and Elias every other week, and it's not getting nowhere. The storyline's not getting any better, and it's just they're like they must be in the back coin flipping. Who's gonna win this week? You, me? Let's see. After that, they ended the night out with a non-title match. Asuka and Alexa Bliss putting on a pretty good display. Maybe the second best match of the night, I guess. I'm not for sure. Crazy way to end it. Like I said, not my favorite show of the week, but that's Raw this past Monday. Keeping things moving, let's jump into some better stuff, and that's what actually, believe it or not, Impact. This is the fallout to Hard to Kill. If you guys didn't see Hard to Kill this past Saturday, pretty good show. They had a lot of interesting things happen. Matt Cardona, yeah, that's right. The one that was at AEW, WWE. Now he's in Impact. That's right. The big guy, always ready, stepping in. But anyhow, things that happen here on Impact. Eric Young getting a big win over Rhino in a submission move. You know, Joe Deering there with the interference. They got Cousin Jake on the side. Cousin Jake shaved head. Those three battled with Dreamer and them this past weekend. Man, it was a great, great match. Anyhow, this was a better way to start out your show, if you ask me. Charlotte Flair and Peyton Royce wasn't a bad way. Don't get me wrong, but last week, if you remember, Impact starting out with females. So, anyhow, maybe they're listening. Kimberly and Susan getting a huge win over Jordynne Grace and Jazz. After that, Brian Myers putting an attack on our man. Fa la 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 la, the blah blah blah. That's right. Brian Myers showing a little more heel face. You know, I see his path crossing very soon with his best friend, his broskies. We'll have to keep an eye on that. After that, my Madman Fulton and Ace Austin, you know, coming to disturb the party, and boom, wouldn't you know, out of the blue, Matt Cardona, always ready, showing up. That's right, he's there to fight, not just to have the pretty face, as he may say. So pretty cool to see that. I don't know where they're going to go with Matt Cardona. I've been trying to keep up on his social media, see what his story is, whether it's like an AEW type of contract where it's just a couple matches, or if we're going to see him possibly, you know, there for a little bit longer of a stint. You know, I wouldn't be surprised. Like I said, his best friend, Brian Myers, works there and loves it. Everybody loves it that works there, I might say, and he's got some friends, so we'll see what happens. After that, we had what I was very, very shocked to see, and if you hadn't watched Impact, what happened earlier in the night, there was a meeting of the minds in the tag team division in the middle of the ring between the Good Brothers, Chris Sabin, Storm, who is now replacing Alex Shelley, obviously, for right now, and showing up out of nowhere, Big Money Hardy and Private Party. That's right, they showed up on Impact, shocking the world, and they weren't there just to talk, they were there to wrestle. And they got set up in a number one contenders match going up against Chris Sabin and Storm. And, you know, you're thinking, they're from AEW. There's no chance in hell these guys are going to hold a candle. They're just, you know, they're bringing viewers. That's what they're doing. Well, yeah, they brought viewers. And they also brought Tony Khan and Jerry Lynn ringside. So there was a whole plethora of AEW people in one match on Impact, folks. That's right. It was great to see this. This match was not a dull match, not even a disappointment. You know, Private Party stepping their game up, Hardy on the outside, bossing them around, being the hard-nosed manager that he is for them right now. But things shook out like this, folks. It got down to the end to where you thought, okay, the Private Party's going to lose. Well, here's what happened, folks. Jerry Lynn coming out of nowhere, grabbing Chris Sabin's foot, holding him on the top rope, while Private Party signal each other and pull off the gin and juice. We get a 1, 2, 3, and now have an AEW tag team number one contender for the Impact Tag Team Championship. I would say explain it to me, or I explain it to you, but I don't even know. But I love it, that's for sure. It was great to see. Great action. I hope they continue to do this. I know I talked about this a couple of weeks ago. This is kind of my idea. If you ask me, shake some things up. Mix some people up. It doesn't have to be everybody, and it doesn't have to be your best talent. But make sure you do the right people, and that's my advice. But this is what happened right here on Tuesday night on Impact. Keeping things moving, we're going to jump into everybody's favorite wrestling night of the week. It was Wednesday night. That's right. We're going to start off this week with AEW Dynamite. and it was -1's birthday party, and that's how they started the show out. -1 and Dark Order coming out to a birthday celebration. John Silver getting the crowd to sing happy birthday, but the Chaos Project had enough. Luther coming out on the mic, downgrading our man -1, until finally it turned into a brawl, and then started the match out, which we had an 8-man tag, where it was Chaos TH2 taking on the Dark Order, which actually was formations of John Silver, Alex Reynolds, Colt Cabana, and all of a sudden, the music dropped. Here he came. That's right, Hangman, because we all know they were waiting. The decision of Hangman, was he going to join Dark Order or not? But anyhow, to get to this match started out on fire, obviously breaking out on stage, but it didn't disappoint. It continued into the ring. There was several high spots, a lot of good stuff going on. I really enjoyed it. The ending was amazing. Go back, check that out. How Reynolds, Silver, and Hangman put together a finisher. Beautiful. I loved every minute of it. Great way to start the show. Unfortunately for Dark Order afterwards, though, Hangman said he's just not into the group thing no more. He's done that. Been there, done that. And they had a celebration set up. Obviously, prematurely went off, and it was pretty comical. That's the kind of comedy I like to see, that stuff like that. If you didn't see that, go check that out. That's kind of good wrestling comedy, and that's how it should be done. After that, we went to a little skit where it was showing the Bucks going to Kenny Omega's house, and it was really strange. Ended up being, long story short, Don Callis was there, Kenny Omega wasn't, and the Bucks showed a little bit of hillside and handled some business. Payback for getting snubbed last week, so to say, I guess. And kind of seemed like there was a tack going on. The camera went black, and then, of course, we went back to what we needed to get back to. And that was wrestling, the next match, which was Cody Rhodes getting a huge win over, well, we'll not just say huge. We'll just say he got a win over Peter Avalon. Not really my cup of tea to match for Cody this time around. Normally, he's a little bit different style of a fighter, and he obviously in this match downgraded himself to Peter Avalon's ability. And the only good thing that turned out in this whole match was Jade Cargill making another appearance. She comes out on the stage, her music dropped, and we thought something else might happen, and it kind of caught Cody off guard, and bam, Peter Avalon with a low blow, and that's all we got out of that. So yeah, the match ended kind of weirdly, low blow, but Cody managed to pull it together. The match went a little bit longer than I expected. Like I said, this match should have been a squash match, really quick. Peter Avalon, no offense, but he's just a smaller guy. I was telling the wife they need to put him in his own little bracket with maybe like a cruiserweight division or something like that there. So yeah, next up, the squash match, in my opinion. That's what I call it anyhow. John Moxley in action, taking on Nick Caramato. Big old hairy dude. Looks like he's got a lot of talent. I know that he was on Dark, and Taz and Excalibur put him over pretty well. He had a good match with Sammy, so we'll keep an eye on that guy. But Moxley obviously getting the win over Nick in a definite squash match. After that, we had the Private Party showing back up 2 nights in a row. That's right, Tuesday night on Impact, Wednesday showing right back up on AEW Dynamite. This time in a 6-man tag match. They got Matt Hardy along with them. They're going up against Matt Sydal and Top Flight. And this match didn't disappoint, just like the one on Impact. This was a great match from start to finish. Private Party, doing all their high spots and stuff like that, but also a mixture of Hardy's way of doing things, and it made it pretty interesting. Top Flight, another young team, 19, 21-year-old guys, brothers that are, going to have a bright future. And then, of course, Matt Sydal, he's another high flyer, been around for a while. Got a lot of people out there that love him. So this was a great match, ending in a crazy way though, as if I think Matt Hardy has rubbed off on Private Party and they are now maybe going heel. Who knows? Because Isaiah hitting somebody with a chair to maybe get the win on this. I don't know. If you haven't seen it, go back check it out. I thought it was pretty interesting. Mark Quinn kind of looked at Isaiah like, you kidding me? All right, cool. I'm down too. So pretty cool thing to see. Maybe a slight heel turn coming for Private Party. Keep an eye on that. After that, the only women's match of the night, and it was okay. Obviously had a little bit more of a storyline than just the match itself. Penelope Ford getting the win over legit Leia Hirsch. But legit Leia Hirsch, no chump. She might be 4'9", but she can wrestle and fight, I think, folks. She's got a heavy background in wrestling in the amateur side, but this match basically was more focused on Orange Cassidy being in the crowd. Miro having his new butler, Charles, that's right, Chucky T, his new butler, at ringside. And after the match, he made him announce that Miro is his new best friend. Weird storyline. We know that this is leading into February 3rd Beach Bash, where Kip and Penelope will be getting married. So I don't know if I'm for that or against it. We'll have to see going forward. After that, it was the main event of the evening, the match everybody was waiting for, the Inner Circle Mix-Up. That's right, a three-way tag match. And, really this didn't have any rules, and so to speak. And the ref at points in this match, Aubrey, she just stood there and watched, if you go back and check it out. I don't know if she knew what to do or if that's what she was told to do. Who knows? But this here had a little bit of everything, including some bad. Sorry, I'm a big Chris Jericho fan, but he missed his famous lion salt. He kind of muffed it just a hair. I think he was a little wore out. He still looked good. In him and MJF coming away with the victory after a bunch of shenanigans in between their own group. The bat was tossed into the ring, Floyd, so to speak, and Jake Hagar laid out Chris Jericho with a big boot, and then right after that, MJF was going to pull out the diamond ring. Bam! Hager laid him out. So, not sure what the storyline. There was a lot of mass confusion. Crazy way to go off the air. JR even said it there at the end. This is just crazy. So, I guess we'll have to wait till next week to see what happens on Dynamite with the Inner Circle. But, all in all, an okay show, and happy birthday to a -1. Keeping things rolling here on the sunny side up, we're going to jump into the last of the 5 brands, and it was a good show. It was NXT Wednesday night, and it was the second round of the Dusty Classic, the tag team Dusty tournament they had going on. And not only did they have the guys, they introduced the women's Dusty Classic this night. They started the show out with Leon Ruff and Kushida getting a huge win over Johnny Sameface and Austin Theory. After that, Karrion Kross in a big smash match, getting the win over Adonis. Guys, he's coming. That guy's looking better and better. I think he's got enough matches underneath his belt now from returning that it's time to put him on the main stage and see what happens. Then we had another Dusty Classic. We had Lucha Party getting a win over Imperium. This one kind of surprised me. Lucha Party, as we all know, kind of bounce around from brand to brand. They sometimes on Raw, sometimes on SmackDown. Here they are on NXT and getting the win over NXT alum and Imperium. So crazy to see that. After that, it was the kickoff of the women's Dusty. And we had Casey and Caden getting a win over Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez, and I was very shocked seeing this. I thought for sure Mercedes Martinez and Toni Storm would definitely throttle these girls, but a little bit of a shocker. After that, we have Bronson Reed making another appearance here on NXT. Boy, he looks great. Like I said, he's one of my big-time favorites there on the NXT roster. I can't wait for him to do a little bit more, get a better storyline going, and maybe, move up to the big brand. But he gets a big win on a squash match over Tyler Rust. After that, it was the main event of the evening, folks, and it was what everybody had been waiting for. That's right. It was the fight pit between Timothy Thatcher and Ciampa, and it did not disappoint, folks. Timothy Thatcher, known to be a great fight pit wrestler. He's been talking about it leading up to this match, and I was so excited. I couldn't take my eyes off of it. This match was the right length. It had everything you needed in it. A little bit of the working on one angle with one part, whether it was a knee or a shoulder, it was just perfect. If you haven't seen it, go back, check it out. It was the fight pit match on NXT, the main event of the evening, and Timothy Thatcher, believe it or not, folks, gets the win over Ciampa. Yeah, that's right. It kind of swerved me. Now, it makes me also think that maybe we're seeing the last of Ciampa again on NXT, and he might be switching brands, but who knows? We all know Royal Rumble right around the corner, folks. So there's going to be a lot of big surprises. Rumors of Ronda Rousey, Becky Lynch, Mark Henry, people like that, Rob Van Dam, Samoa Joe, people, that are on people's mind that could be showing up. And Ciampa already being in the brand, I could see him definitely showing up at the Rumble and being an entrant. So, well, folks, that's going to do it for this week on the Sunny Side Up. I want you guys to make sure you stick around. I'm going to be jumping into the meat segment. This week a little different. I don't got nobody to interview. That's right. This week we're going to jump right into UFC 257. Going down tomorrow night. McGregor, he's back. Can't wait to talk about it. Stick around. You're listening to the Eeez N Beez Podcast. Welcome back to the meat segment here on this beautiful Friday. You're listening to the Eeez N Beez Podcast. All right, normally on the meat segment, here on the Eeez N Beez, we have an interview with somebody from the wrestling world. Normally out here, Rocky Mountain Pro, we've had a lot of those good guys on our show. We've had several from OVW. But today we're going to change things up, but we're going to dive into the big pay-per-view going down tomorrow night. That's right, UFC 257. Yeah, we know there's been a lot of UFCs since I put this show on air, but this one, yep, it's a big one because McGregor, he's back. And this time he's fighting a familiar face, taking on Dustin Poirier. This will be the second time going around. They fought back in 2014, where we all know, it only lasted about a minute and a half, and old McGregor getting the TKO victory. But what I want to talk about today on the meat segment, we're going to go over the main card going on Saturday night, ESPN Plus, or wherever you find your pay-per-view. Make sure you go check it out. I can't wait. It's going to be great. This, obviously, going down in Abu Dhabi. So, they've had a lot of these bubble fights over in Abu Dhabi as this COVID process has been going on, and it's been turning out great. And now they have a little bit of fans. If I'm not mistaken, I think it's around 9,000 going to be there tomorrow. So, obviously with the time change, it's going to be different, but, it's great to have the fans back. As you saw this week on wrestling, definitely at AEW, they were geeked to have the fans back. It just sounds so much better. So much better. But here in Abu Dhabi, they're going to see a great one. As let's talk a little bit about the main card going down tomorrow night. We're going to talk about, 5 fights on the main card. Of course, the main event being the big one. We'll get to that one last. We'll dive into the co-main event and the main event a little bit deeper. But for the other 3 fights, I'm just going to give you a little touch to what's going on, and that's about it. They're going to start the main card out, it looks like, with Marina Rodriguez going up against Amanda Ribas. Amanda Ribas is the number 10 strawweight women's fighter, and Marina is the number 8. It looks like Amanda's going to be the favorite going into Saturday night, so we'll have to wait and see. Pretty cool to see a 10 and 8 really close together. It should be good action. After that, we got a couple non-ranked wrestlers. Matt Farola going up against Ottoman Alazar. Alazar being the favorite going into this fight should be a good one. After that, here's a familiar name. Number 6 in the flyweight women's division, Jessica Eye, taking on number 7, Joanne Calderwood. That's right, Calderwood, the number 7, going into this fight, but she is the favorite. We all know Jessica Eye has been around for a long time. If you're a UFC fan, you know exactly who she is. So we'll keep an eye on that one. Familiar face, Jessica Eye. All right, it's the co-main event. We're going to have number 6 in the lightweight division, Dan Hooker, taking on non-ranked, but a very familiar face. Coming over from Bellator, folks, it's Michael Chandler. And let me tell you, I've watched Michael Chandler for a long time. I know this guy has, a trophy case as big as a house. We know that. But he's got a big chip here, or should I say, he's got a lot of pressure on him coming into the UFC world, taking on the number 6, Dan Hooker, who is, no joke. This guy's no slacker. He's 20-9 from New Zealand, 6 foot, 155. He's got about a 75-inch reach. This isn't no pushover. Chandler 21-5 coming into this bout. Is this going to be the 6th loss for him, or is he going to make a statement for the UFC world, showing that he's the real deal? I hope so. I'll keep a very close eye on that. Like I said, Dan Hooker, co-main event, taking on Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler making his debut at UFC. Going to be a lot of eyes on him. Good thing it's over in Abu Dhabi, I think. Honestly, in my opinion, this is only my opinion. If it was over here in the States and everything was normal and we had a normal crowd, this is a lot of pressure, especially being the top dog over at the other brand, so to speak, as we're talking MMA world. When you've ran the Bellator lightweight division for as many years as Michael Chandler has, and then you come over to the UFC side, and you've got to make a statement, because otherwise they're going to just laugh at that whole entire thing over there like you didn't do anything. So we'll be interested to see what happens. I'll definitely be keeping my eye on that. Now, let's talk a little bit about the main event of the evening, folks. Number 2, Dustin Poirier taking on number 4, Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor, we know going into this, is the favorite, folks. But, like I said earlier, these guys, they know each other very well. There was a huge heated beef rivalry going into their first bout back in 2014. Everybody wasn't sure about McGregor just yet. In my opinion, he was just at the brink of taking off of that huge run that we all know that he went on in dominant faction. But at this time in 2014, he was just, hadn't fought as many big names, in my opinion. So, he ended this like he always predicted back in the day. It was really quick, like I said, 3 minutes, 14 seconds left in the first round. Conor McGregor, TKOs Dustin. So what's going to change for this time around? That's my question. I do know one thing. Conor McGregor is no good when he goes to the ground. His last 3 defeats have all been rear naked chokes, but by some huge names, champions in that. So let's not discredit him too much. But if you break down the percentages between the two, Dustin Poirier, he's a 50% knockout TKO artist with a 23% submission finish rate. His fights are averaging about 8 minutes, 55 seconds total. So, you're looking at 2 rounds max for this guy. That's what he's used to. Now, let's flip the script over here to our boy McGregor. He's in the same boat as far as some things, but others he's way far off. But let's talk about this. He's 86% knockout TKO. That's completely 30% change. But here's the big difference. Here's where I think things could change for Dustin. Conor only has a 5% submission rate. So therefore, we know that tells us one thing. He doesn't want to go to the ground. Now, things could change. He could have been working on this for a long time. This could be a main focus going into this. I'm sure every Conor fight, he knows that the people get him down, they've got a better chance of beating him. And that's why he loves to throw and bang. That's why everybody loves to watch him, myself included. But let's be honest, if Dustin has any shot going in tomorrow night, I think it's going to have to come on the ground, and it's going to have to come in a choke. And to flip the script on things, I would love to see Conor do that to him and shock the world and show the world that his game is a little more versatile than what you think. He's not just a striker and such. But we've seen Conor do most of everything, we know. But it'll be great to see the old champ return tomorrow night, UFC 257, folks. Make sure you check it out. This is going to be the talk of the next month or two until something tops it. And if McGregor gets beat, folks, woo-wee, the haters will be coming out. That's for sure. So that's all I got here on the meat segment. Stick around. We're going to scramble some eggs. We're going to make some predictions. We're also going to talk a lot about some beef that's been going on in the wrestling world. Man, a lot of haters out there. You're listening to the Eeez N Beez Podcast. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, pass the gravy, spread the butter, tell a friend, tell a family member, tell somebody. EeezNBeez.org. All right. Let's scramble some eggs. Welcome to the Scrambled Egg segment. Let's get right in and mix some things up. I got a lot of cool things to talk about. A lot of beef going on, like I said, in the wrestling world these last couple of weeks. But let's start out real quick with a couple contracts that have came up and are up in question and a lot of talk on the internet or in the social media world. And that's Ricochet and Matt Riddle over there at WWE. Both of them contracts have expired, so to speak, I guess, for what we know. There could be things in the work. Not everybody knows everything on the internet. We know that. But just from what I've read and the feeling that I'm getting, I'm not sure Ricochet is going back. The way he got beat by AJ Styles this past week and just the way he's been treated over there, I could see him maybe making a change. Who knows? Could be making a change inside the actual company itself, inside, and giving him a different look and a different run. We know that they've done that before with several talent. And then as far as Matt Riddle goes, we know that Vince loves Riddle. He's pushed Riddle. He's actually removed his first name. I still call him Matt Riddle, but he's a great talent. There's a lot of people that like to work with him, but there's also several people that don't like to work with him. So who knows what's going on with that situation there. I know that would be a good steal for AEW, both those guys. But let's not count our chickens and the eggs or whatever before they hatch, if you know what I mean. But that's something to keep a close eye on here on the Scrambled Eggs segment is contracts are up. People could be moving here really soon. There's still a lot of good free agents on the market. We know that. Definitely in the indie world. Zicky Dice being one of those. We heard that not too long ago. So keep your eyes out. There could be some big moves coming here really soon at any brand, that is. All right, now let's really scramble some eggs. Let's talk about some shoot drama going on inside and outside the wrestling world. And let's start right off number one here with the beef going on between Sammy and what I like to call T-Bum or T-Bar there for Retribution. Now, they went back and forth on Twitter about the finisher move that's claimed to be stolen. Sammy, did a whole video about on his vlog, why he even uses that move, and also tweeted it out, the reason why. But I'm not sure if there's a little bit of jealousy here or what's going on. I will say this, if you haven't seen Sammy's vlog, go check it out, because he really cuts him at the end. It's pretty good, but we'll keep a thumb on it, see what happens between these two, make sure we'll keep an eye on the beef and see what happens going forward, should I say. After that, number two, let's talk about a really big beef, one that kind of caught me by surprise, and up to date, all the way up to recording here, I've been kind of keeping a really close eye on it, because I'm not sure what to think of this. It's Tama Tonga, as you all know, from New Japan Pro Wrestling, one part of the Bullet Club. He shots fired at Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. He is not happy with what's going on over here in the States. He did not approve of the Bullet Club name, of them bringing it up, them mentioning it. He did not approve of the Too Sweet hand gestures that's been thrown around now for the last couple weeks. And I actually was on his Twitch channel, and he was, calling some shots out. Calling them snitches, and it seems like for these guys to be in a club together, there's a lot of hatred coming out of that man's mouth. But, like I said, I'm not sure 100% what's going on. I'm waiting for a response. I'm kind of hoping Carl Anderson or the Big LG will give us a clap back or at least an explanation of what's going on. I'm pretty sure Kenny Omega's not going to say much, but I'm going to keep my eye on it as Tama Tonga over there in New Japan Pro Wrestling has an issue with people using the Too Sweet hand gesture and the name Bullet Club. Interesting stuff there, so yeah, definitely keep an eye. Number three, the one I was kind of happy to hear the response I heard, and that is Mark Henry and Ryback going back and forth, but let me just say, 100% behind Mark Henry, my boy. I can't believe what Ryback, he just keeps doing this. I think he's stirring up attention, who knows, and if you want to hear the truth between the Mark Henry and Ryback story, please listen to Mark Henry's side, because, man, he is definitely saying this, he's being disrespected, and that's why he's saying what he's saying, and I back Mark Henry 100%. You got to keep it true, and Mark Henry keeps it true. The last little rumor we got here on the Scrambled Eggs thing is not really a rumor. It's actually the trash talk that's been going on the last week, it's been going on for a while now, let's be honest, between Jim Cornette, Brian Lash, on their little podcasts they got. And I just want to bring it to light. If you guys didn't hear this last week, on Friday of last week, Jim Cornette and Brian Lash, they really get into Chris Jericho, and it goes as far as I think I needed to hear, and that's Jim Cornette disfriending Chris Jericho, calling him every name in the book and blaming him for everything. And it was just sad and disheartening to hear somebody that has so much knowledge. Everybody, most respect Jim Cornette and his wrestling history knowledge and all that great things. and with somebody that he's actually brought up through the system and knows everything about Chris Jericho, for him to say all them dirty things, I don't know if he's actually trying to get attention, trying to get more viewers, listeners, whatever. But in my eyes, you just don't go on the air and do that, especially if you're trying to get numbers. That's a rotten way to do it, in my opinion. And you know, the last thing he said was he wishes he would have told Lance Storm not to bring Chris Jericho with him way back in the day when he came up through Smoky Mountain. I think that's just an awful thing to say. You know, I don't understand the hatred. I know that Brian Last, he definitely is a bandwagon when it comes to jumping on certain things that Jim says, but for some reason these two have been picking on Jericho for a long time. You know, they need to pay their respect, in my opinion. The guy's been in the business for 30 years. He's done a lot of things, and who cares what he's doing right now? He's still doing it, whether you like it or not. Things change, people change, the business changes. He's changing with it, and he's having fun. He's happy, and that's all that should matter. But, you know, these guys, they've got to stir up the pot and, you know, bring the light on them, in my opinion, and I think it's wrong. But shout out to Chris Jericho. We love you here at Eeez N Beez, and we think that you're awesome and everything that you do is great, and who cares what everybody else says, right? So, last thing I got here before we get into the toast and wrap things down for the day, get into Lauren's numbers and all that great stuff is, I want to give out some picks and predictions going in to this weekend, folks. That's right. We got a little bit of UFC and a little bit of playoffs. I'm going to take in football this weekend, folks, the Chiefs over the Bills. The Chiefs will be returning to the Super Bowl for the second year. That's my opinion. And on the NFC side, I'm going to take the Green Bay Packers. That's right. The Packers are just too dominant, folks. So, looking like a Chief-Packers Super Bowl, and my prediction. We'll wait and find out next week. See what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think. Give us a shout out, comment, like, share, subscribe. Make sure you follow us. Go to eezeandbeez.org. Shop our merch store. We got a bunch of cool, cheap stuff there, guys. Make sure you check that out. We also do all kinds of cool stuff we'll talk about here shortly on the toast. My other predictions going into this weekend, folks. Let's talk a little bit of UFC 257 predictions. Well, I'll just predict the co-main event and the main event. In the co-main event, I'm going to take my boy Michael Chandler. I mean, like I said earlier, he's coming in with a little bit of pressure on his back, but I think he's going to perform and show Dana White why it was a good choice for him to show up in the UFC. And for the main event, folks, who do you think I got? That's right, McGregor taking the win. And I'm going to predict something here shockingly. It's not going to be a KO or TKO. I'm taking McGregor, second round, rear naked choke. Write it down. Let me know what you think. Let me know what you think. If McGregor's going to beat Dustin, when he's going to beat it. And that's all I got on the Scrambled Eggs segment. Stick around here. We're going to wind things down with Lauren on the toast, go over the numbers, let you know what's coming up next. You're listening to the Eeez N Beez Podcast. Alright, it's everybody's favorite part of the episode. Get out your jams, get out your jellies, get out your butters, your cinnamons, your sugars. It's the toast. Time to spread it. Welcome into the toast. Back with us this week. Once again, it's the fabulous Lauren. How's it going, Lauren?
Hey, good. Friday.
Right on, right on. Yeah, it's been a beautiful week. Beautiful Friday here we got. One more Friday left in the month of January. Got a couple shout-outs to go through here, Lauren, and then she's got the top 10 this week to go through as normal. But before we jump into that, Lauren, I got to ask you.
Okay.
Who do you got this weekend in football? Are you going to take the Bills or the Chiefs?
Probably the Chiefs.
The Chiefs. And then how about the Packers or old Tom Brady and the Bucks?
Probably Tom Brady again.
Oh, okay. All right.
Just, like I said last week, he's been in this position more than...
That's right, you know.
More than anybody else, so...
Brand new team, and he's got him in the NFC Championship game. You can't say much bad about that, if you know what I mean. Nope. Unfortunately, right? Well, one more thing. How about this? We know tomorrow night, as I spoke earlier on the meat segment, UFC 257. Mm-hmm. Let me get your predictions on just two of those fights that I predicted on. Okay. The co-main event, we got Dan Hooker going up against Michael Chandler. Michael Chandler, Lauren, as you know, came from Bellator, so he's got a little bit of pressure on his back. Who do you got?
Probably Chandler.
That's what I'm thinking. I took Chandler myself. I mean, he's a proven fighter. No offense to Hooker here, but I think that coming into this, he's got to prove a point to stick around and be relevant. So hopefully it'll be a good fight and he'll come out on top. What about the main event, Lauren? You know what it is. Daniel Poirier and the man.
I already put
Conor
money on him.
McGregor. Who do you got?
Obviously, I already put money on Conor winning.
Got money on Gregor. All right, that sounds good. Hopefully the house comes home with the money with McGregor getting the win. So we'll keep a close eye on that. I can't wait. You know, you and I are going to be hopefully checking that out together, and we'll be talking about that coming up next week. But let's talk about a few things coming up here on the Eeez N Beez in the future here. This weekend, there's going to be another unboxing video drop, folks. So be on the lookout on YouTube, the Eeez N Beez YouTube. We'll have another unboxing video thanks to our good friends at Pro Wrestling Tees. It's a pro wrestling crate that we'll be unboxing, and you can be a winner, folks. All you got to do is make sure you watch Lauren and I and follow the rules, and you could win something maybe out of that box. That's right. Yeah, first one of 2021. I'm excited. I know this box is a banger. We got people like Jake the Snake, Kenny Omega. Yeah. It's going to be a good one, so we'll keep our eyes out, and you guys keep your eyes out. Make sure you like, share, subscribe, and follow us at all those good media and social outlets we got. Also, coming up in the month of February, stay tuned, coming back, a fan favorite here on the Eeez N Beez. It's the Lauren's Murder Mystery. How about that, Lauren? February 12th. We can't wait. Just a couple weeks away. That's right.
I'm excited for it.
You're excited? You got your person picked out? You got your story? I know you've been doing a lot of work. I've seen you working here hard on it. Hopefully maybe you have a co-host with you to go over it like we did last time.
Yeah.
You know, that was a very, very high-rated episode. The last time Lauren with Lilith Grimm from Rocky Mountain Pro, they did a murder mystery, talked a little bit about Dino Bravo. Of course, we all know that Dino Bravo episode was aired on Dark Side, but Lauren took a couple takes on her side about it, so she's going to do that again here in February, so make sure you keep your eyes and ears out coming up in February for Lauren's Murder Mystery right here on the Eeez N Beez Podcast. Also, folks, don't forget, man, the merch store is open, always open. Cheap merch, cool merch, and we're going to be having a couple new things coming soon, so keep your eyes out. Got some new graphics I'm working on, got some cool things coming. Guys, I got a lot of cool things coming. As soon as these gates open, things are going to change here at the Eeez N Beez land. I will say that I'll be trying to travel out to as many events as I'm possibly allowed to, so that'll be fun to do here in the very, very coming future, I hope. Other than that, folks, that's all I got for you here on the Toast. We're going to turn things over, but before I do, let me give a few quick shout-outs. I want to give a shout-out to my homeboy Neil Coffey, a shout-out to Robert Yoho and Showtime Speedway. Check them out tomorrow night on Speed 51. It's going to be an awesome show. Like I said earlier, shout-out to Jericho, but shout-out to Jericho, Dave, and Rybo of Winnipeggers. They've been giving us here at Eeez N Beez some love, sharing their thoughts and our tweets on their show. Go check that out on YouTube. It's Winnipeggers, Jericho, and two of his old lifelong friends. It's great. It's funny. It takes your mind off of things. Me and Lauren love to watch it. Also, shout out to the DSP Project. Shout out to Rybo. Shout out to Rocky Mountain Pro. Shout out to Yaden, shout out to Scotty Long, shout out to OVW, and last but not least, shout out to Rocky Mountain Pro on Twitch. Go check that out if you haven't. It's the best wrestling on Twitch. And one last reminder, coming up next week, Eeez Wild, Rocky Mountain Pro's pay-per-view, Saturday night, January 30th. Beforehand, we're going to have special guest, the evil genius himself, Titus. He'll be on next Friday, folks. Don't miss it. It's going to be awesome. We're going to pick his brain about what's going to happen at Eeez Wild and also maybe dive into a little bit of his life. So stay tuned for that. I hope you guys are enjoying. Here you go, Lauren. Turn it over to you. Give these great folks and listeners the numbers of the week.
Our shout out, as always, thank you for everybody who listened, and make sure to represent your city and country, because we have a few different countries out there that have been put on the list. So at number 10 we got, I know I'm saying this wrong, Freelancing, Corinthia.
I'm going to say Corinthia. Thank you, Corinthia.
Number 9, San Francisco, California. Number 8 is Istanbul. Man, a lot of foreign this week, folks. Yeah, I like it. 7 is Washington, Virginia. 6, Sioux City, Iowa. And rounding out bottom 5, my bad, Anderson, Indiana.
A-town.
So, starting out 4th, Denver, Colorado. Number 3 is Cliché, France.
Cliché, France.
Our friends out there. Number 2, San Jose, California.
San Jose, bumping Cliché, France this week, Lauren. We got a little battle for the 2 and 3 spot.
Yeah, definitely. And number 1, of course, again, is Fort Collins, Colorado.
Always. Thank you so much for all the love, all the listening, the downloads. Make sure you like, share, subscribe. Tell a friend. Tell a family member. Tell somebody. Until next week, folks, like always, don't forget to eat your breakfast.